Hello everyone and welcome to my coloring corner. Today is Art Therapy Thursday and we are going to be working on the dragon babies and the eggs. This is a picture from Jade Summer. Hold a sec, I got the book. Fantasy Collection, 100 coloring pages, 4 books in one. It is from this book here, down here at the bottom, that one. And it is one of the last pages in the book if you have the book. If not, you can purchase the book on Etsy, I do believe, or on Amazon, that sort of thing. So we will be working on these little dragonkin here. So we're going to first of all do an egg. Just want to grab the right color here. Pretty sure it's this one. Of course, I've got so much stuff on my desk, I don't know where my swatch chart went. So we're just gonna test colors as we go. That's a little too brown. Excuse me. Suddenly a tickle in my throat. Hold on 1 second. Okay, that's better. Sorry about that. So we are going to use marigold on the dragon eggs. And we're just going to do very, very gently, barely touching, letting it fill in the areas around the spots. And we will be using a colored pencil on this as well, just to give it some dimension and color. But for the main part of the egg, we're going to color it this wonderful orange. We're going to try not to go over any dragons at this point. Alright, I'm going to switch it over to the close-up camera here so you can see a little bit better. The Sanjoki markers are a brush tip marker. They also have a chisel tip. And this is on coloring book paper, so it is going to bleed a little if I go over those lines. So when you're coloring on coloring book paper or cardstock, test your markers. See how far they blend, or bleed, I mean. And what I mean by bleed is not bleed through the page, but bleed into other areas that you don't want it to be. So test your markers. Make sure that you don't go over the black lines of the details. As soon as you cross over that black line with your marker, it opens a channel for that ink to flow into. So as long as you don't go over the lines or touch the line with your marker itself, they shouldn't bleed into any areas you don't want them to bleed into. However, if you touch the line, it will bleed into it. And that's why I'm really careful sometimes, especially when using alcohol markers on coloring books. You know, I see people using them all the time and just whoosh, 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 and it's done. And I could never understand why it took me so long. And it's because I have a tendency to color with markers on coloring book pages. And I've learned from previous mistakes that you have to go quickly enough that you don't end up with lines, but slow enough that you don't cross over and create a mess. And I'm crossing over the lines quite a bit here, so because this is so tiny. But I will be adding the colored pencil, which will fix all of that. So just gently going over the areas that I want to get into here. And in the larger areas, you can just easily fill it in. Just remember to keep your edges wet so that you don't end up with a choppiness. Just going to gently bring it up into here just by touching, just barely touching, and just letting that ink flow. Same with down here. And as you can see here, with this egg, the flow stopped at that black line because I didn't go over it. As soon as you touch the black line with any part of your marker, it puts a break in the line, and the marker can flow, the ink can flow over it. So as long as you're really careful about where you're going and close to the lines, you should be able to get into most of those larger areas without going over your areas too much. Now if you have a dry line, just remember to wet it. You can probably see the ink just flowing down the areas that I've already colored. I'm just going to come gently through here. And any lines that I do create with letting it dry too much or not going quickly enough, I will be fixing with the colored pencils. So, like I said, I'm not too concerned about how much gets on the spots or that sort of thing. My biggest concern, of course, is not going over onto the dragons and not going over into other eggs with a color that I don't want that egg to be. If that all makes sense. So as you can see, I went over the line there. So it's starting to bleed into the dragon's hand a little bit. Where I don't particularly want it, but that's okay. We'll work with it. So if you see somebody using alcohol markers that is just whip, 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 more than likely they are using alcohol paper that's works really well for alcohol markers. They're not on coloring book paper because there's not too many people that are crazy enough to try to color on stream with coloring book paper. Of course, I am one of those crazy people, and I regret it every single time because it does not look the cleanest or the easiest. It just makes the marker look bad, and it's not the marker, it's the paper. It's a thirsty paper. It just soaks it right up and dries too quick. Creating nasty little lines that we don't like. Alright, so we're going to let that dry. We're going to move on to a different egg, and we're going to color this egg, I think, scarlet. Yeah. So we're going to color this egg scarlet. Don't want to get into the center of the egg there. Just want to do the outside of the egg. I have to be careful for the dragon because I don't want to color the dragon red either. You don't have to color all the eggs different colors. You can color them all one color. I just like all the different colors. And I thought about just doing the eggs with just pencil. But it's still alcohol April. So what fun would that have been? Sorry guys, concentrating. Trying to get into little tiny areas with a big fat marker tip. One of these days, I'm going to get the hoo-hoos that have the brush tip and the bullet nib, which will make me happy. But I'm going to use up all these other markers first, because I've got a lot of them and I don't use them nearly enough to justify the purchase of another one unless it's an awesome marker. And then, all bets are off when it becomes an awesome marker. Because awesome markers are different. And once again, even a expensive Copic marker or, you know, what's the other really expensive one? Even an expensive marker is going to do the same sort of bleed that these ones are doing because of the type of paper it is. You know, so even if I had the Copic brush markers, which I have a few, as soon as I put them to the paper here, because it is coloring book paper, they're going to react the same way. They're going to have the same movement because it's just alcohol ink. And whether it's a high quality alcohol ink or a lower priced brand, as soon as you go into an area that you don't want it to bleed into, just with barely a touch of the marker on the line, you're going to end up with bleed. Doesn't matter whether it's a Crayola or Castle Arts or Arteza, anything like that. As soon as you touch that line, it's going to bleed into that area. As soon as you give it the avenue of flow, it will flow. Alright, now coming up into here. Again, I'm not too concerned about the spots because we will be going over those with pencil. I am more concerned about the dragon. Making sure that I'm not touching the dragon itself with the pen. Because we don't want that to flow into the dragon. Okay, so we've got some eggshell here under his head. So I'm just very, very, very gently, barely touching the page, letting it flow to the edges. Trying to make sure I don't touch the dragon. Alright. So there we have an orange and a red egg. And now I think we're going to do a blue and a green one as well. So let's take a medium blue. So I think pastel blue would be a good medium blue. I know that I don't have a reason why I want all these eggs to be different colors. I just do. I'm going to do the dragonkin a different color too. So there's no particular reason. I just like different colored eggs. Who's gonna say that, all the dragon babies have to be the same color? Because, what is the fun of that? Make sure that I don't go over the line of the dragon, because we don't want the dragon to be blue. There we go. And there's our blue egg. Now we're going to do a green egg, and we're going to do the green egg in pale green because we want it to be a light green. Make sure that I have a good flow here. There we go. Because we want to be able to add that detail with a darker green. And the shadow of Momma and everything else. Let it bleed in. Make sure we don't go over the line into the dragon. And some pens, when they're full, when they have more ink than other pens, will bleed a lot less than, or will bleed a lot more than a pen that's been used a lot. That's what I'm trying to say. As the ink starts dissipating or getting low, it's not putting out as much ink onto the page, so you end up with a little bit less of the bleed. So always check your pens, make sure that you know how far they're going to move before you put them on your page, or before you put them close to a line. Because you just want it to bleed into that area, not over the line. See, and I touched there, so it's bleeding in. Which it wouldn't have done if I didn't touch it. Like so. Now we're going to finish this off. Actually, this is just a crack in the shell, so make sure that we only fill the outer shell. Try to stay away from the dragon. Letting it bleed up into there. Alright. And just trying to see where things are on the egg here. Because the edge of the egg here that is broken has sort of the same design as the dragon's face does. So we want to make sure that we're getting the egg, not the dragon's face. All right, so, okay, so that's the eggs all done. So now we're going to take our red orange colored pencil here. So we're going to take literally red orange. I'm going to sharpen it, and we're going to put in the shadow areas on the orange egg. Except for my pencil broke for some reason. I think it's my sharpener is dirty. So sometimes if your sharpener is dirty, it will break your pencil. So be careful of that. I'm going to dust out my sharpener and fix it. Sorry about the bulk. Sometimes you can end up with a buildup of pencil dust in your blades of your sharpener. So you just dust them out and you should be fine after that. We will check and find out. So that or the red orange is just going to be a pain in my butt. No, it worked. So just dusting it out, cleaned it out enough that I could sharpen the pencil. Alright, so now we're going to take our red orange pencil and we're going to go down here into our shadow area. And we're going to fill in that shadow area down here. And again, we're using the Chroma Flow colored pencils. Right over top of the Sanjoki marker. The great thing about colored pencils is you can fill in that area, get close to an area that may not have had enough marker on it, and fill in that shadow. Now, if I was just doing straight colored pencils on this, I would be doing the same sort of coloring. I would be using the orange tone as my base and then adding the red orange to the edges in our shadow areas. Now I'm going to bring this out a little bit. Into the other area here. And then I'm going to be taking the pure red And just going to be adding that to the very, very edge, the very deepest part of the shadow. Then I'll take the red orange and just pull it down a little bit. Because while I was doing this part here, it looked a little bit too close to the same color for the shadow. So I'm just going to add a little touch of that red to the shadow. And these pencils work really good for blending and building that color up. You can also just smush them together, which is great. Alright, coming up underneath here. And we're going to blend those lines out like so. Making that shadow a little bit more intense. Under here. Getting that deepest shadow, a nice red orange color. Going up in here. Now we're going to take our orange and we're just going to blend that in a little. We're going to come off this egg here. Under his little face. Like so. Now we're just going to blend it in with that orange. And there we have the orange egg. Now we're going to do some yellow. So we're going to take this one here, which is our amber gold. And we're going to do the edges. So this is where that orange overflow is going to give us a little bit of shadow and depth. So we don't have to put in as much with the colored pencils. Now we're going to go with sun yellow. And we're just going to pull that in like that. If we wanted to, if we felt that there wasn't enough orange there, we can definitely take our either our red or our red orange and just put in a little bit more. And then you can blend that in. With a little bit of a smush. Like so. Then we're going to do this one here. And this one here. Now I'm doing this one all in the darker color because it's on the shadow. Same with this one. Now with this one and the top one here, I'm going to take a bit of that red and I'm just going to follow that line down. And then we're going to blend it in like that. So with the edge ones, we're going to use the darker yellow, which is amber gold. And we're going to be adding a little bit more of that red orange tone to the edges to blend it in and give it some dimension, some depth, some shadow of the curvature of the egg. And then we're just going to blend it all in with the lighter yellow. So the lighter yellow, of course, is sun yellow. But of course, if you don't have these pencils, you can use any pencils for this. You know, just use reds, oranges, and yellows. Okay, so now for the big one here, we're going to take our, well, let's actually start with our sun yellow. Let's start light to dark here. And then we'll blend it with the light. So I'm starting with sun yellow, which is a nice light yellow tone. And then we're going to go in with our amber gold yellow. And then we're going to go in with a bit of red for those edges. Not going to go all over it, just in some of the edges here. And then we're going to blend it all in with the sun yellow. Blending it all into the center. Like so. There's a couple of edges here that I'm missing. And then we're going to do the same thing down here. Now we've got a bit more of a shadow there, so we'll be adding that shadow in there as well. We're going to be utilizing that orange as well. Alright, then we're going to take our red and we're coming right in where that orange is. Like so. Then we're going to take our amber gold and we're just going to blend it a little bit. And then we'll take our sun yellow and fill it in and blend it all together. And we'll finish up this egg, and then we'll maybe do one of the baby dragons. Maybe. I doubt it, but it's getting awfully close. Of course, I do work on this on Discord, so if you want to watch me working on this or ask any questions about it, you are welcome to join me on Discord. We do have a group of people that hang out, color, talk, all that fun stuff. And you are, of course, welcome to join. The Discord link is in the description below the video here. Again, going through with that red and the amber gold. Dragging that into the center a little bit. And then we're going to go over it with the sun yellow. Okay, now with this one here, because it is mostly shadowed, I'm going to put in the amber gold in all of the shadow area. And I'm going to leave that little tiny bit up there for the sun yellow. And then we're going to take our red and we're going to do the deepest areas of the shadow. And then we're going to take our amber gold again and we're just going to blend that in. Same with down here. This one here I don't need to do that with because it's got a large amount of orange in it. Same with this one. Just going to add a bit of red into this area here. And blend it in. And just building that color up, making it very cohesive. These ones that the orange has overtaken a little bit, I'm not too worried about doing the shadows on that. Just spreading that out a little bit in the shadow area. And then up in this area here, we're going to use the sun yellow and brighten it up a little. Same with this one here. I'm going to use the sun yellow on that. Extend those orange shadows out a little bit. And this one Half of it is going to be sun yellow. Half of it's going to be amber gold because it's on the underside of the egg. That one we're going to use the orange as our shadow. Same with this one here. But we're going to take our red and we're going to put the crack in the shell. So there's a crack here. Where the shell is starting to come apart. And we're going to put some red in that crack just to make it stand out. Like so. Utilizing the overflow from my marker as the shadow area. And this one here. And just going to put a little bit of that red in there. Alright. So there is one egg. Now we're going to use these same colors on all of the eggs. So all of the spots on the eggs are going to be the yellow colors. So we're not going to worry too much about doing all the other spots. This one here has some shadow, so let's grab some dark reds for that shadow. So we're going to use Pompeian red for that shadow and a little bit of scarlet just to blend it in. And to do the crack areas. So we've got Pompeian red here, and we're getting into that shadow area, the deeper shadow area where the dragon hatchling is. As well as the crack in the egg. Then we're going to come down here. And then we'll take our scarlet and we'll just blend it out. Like so. Same with down here. We've got a dark red area here. So the artist has put in a lot of shadow definition, even if it's very, very faint. It still tells you where your shadows are going to be. It also allows you to do straight marker work on it without being too concerned on whether or not you need to put in a whole lot of detail. So if you don't like putting in a lot of detail with markers and you just like to color straight marker, this does give you the ability to work off of those shadows with your marker. So it does give you quite a bit of shading, so when you go down with your marker you can just put straight marker on there. You don't have to do all this fussy stuff. Of course, I just like doing fussy stuff, so I think it does add a good amount of depth and dimension to the piece. If you do go over it with pencil, or if you're good with blending with markers, and going over those edges with a different color marker or a different color pencil does give you the ability to darken that up and give it some dimension and shadow. Hopefully that made sense. If not, I'm sorry. And then we're going to come off the back side here. We're just not going to come in as deep as we did here. Just like that. Just giving it just enough to give it that round edge dimension. To give it the curve, because eggs are not flat. And then we've got the shadow in here from his horns. And the fracture in the egg. Just getting in those little details. And like I said, if you want to see this continued, you are definitely welcome to join us over on the Discord group. We do have, like I said, the chat program where we do hang out and chat. You know, it's lots of fun. And I get to meet all of you, which is lots of fun for me. Alright, so I'm just putting that in there. So I put in the Pompeian red. Now I'm going over it with the scarlet, just blending it into the color of the egg. Going over any areas that I may have not put down enough color or put down too much color, as well as not reach the edges of the spots. And those shadows. Making sure that we get all the cracks and crevices in here. Come up under his chin a little more. And under his horns, just a touch more. And then we're going to smoosh it all together. Now, like I said, if you prefer to just use markers, you can definitely do so. There is no reason why you cannot. Alright, so there's our red egg done as well for our shadows. And we are at 1 hour, so it took me an hour to almost do 2 eggs. Oh, that's ridiculous. All right, so I'm going to switch you over to the main camera so that you can see what we've done so far. So we have colored the orange egg completely, and we've got started on the red egg. I will be doing the spots on all the eggs on Discord, as well as the dragons. So if you want to join me and watch me finish the 3 little dragons and the rest of the eggs, feel free to do so. Otherwise, I will be posting it on Facebook and Instagram, as well as in the Discord group. So if you just want to look at the pictures, you're welcome to do so on that as well. All right, guys, with that, thank you all very much for hanging out and, watching the eggs come to life, so to speak. Always remember to like, comment, and subscribe to any YouTube artist that you enjoy. This will be the final picture for Alcohol April 2022. So if you are coloring along with different alcohol markers, please make sure to put the hashtag Alcohol April 2022 so that I can see them. Next month, we will be starting a new month, and I have already put out a video of our to be colored and our colored for the month. And the hashtag for next month will be hashtag Molly May 2022 because the artist of the month next month will be Molly Harrison. So I hope you have all your Molly Harrison books ready. If you do want to download Molly Harrison's work, you can do so off of Etsy. You can also purchase her books directly from Amazon. Alright guys, with that being said, thank you all very much for watching. Always remember to like, comment, and subscribe to any YouTube artist that you enjoy. And never forget to relax, color, and stay safe. Thank you all for watching Art Therapy Thursday. You have a fantastic day. And tomorrow we will see you again. Bye bye for now.